I am your host, Ike, in the kinky world. They know me as Hito, and I will be your guide in this vast journey that is ethical non-monogamy. And I want to welcome you to episode 10, Polyfacts, frequently asked questions. And I figured let me go ahead and throw this episode in. This is going to be recorded a couple days earlier than I normally record. And that's because tomorrow I have an early morning flight to Jamaica to go to Hedonism 2 with my anchor partner, where we're just going to go ahead and have some fun, relax, just essentially kind of recoup our energies because a vacation is needed, especially in the world we live in. And I'm planning on having fun. I went last year, had a ball. I don't know what to expect this year, except I know the homie Paulette's going to be there holding it down with the drinks for your boy. So I'm ready here for a good time. But yeah, I figured let me go ahead and record this early so it can be released on Friday. Because again, like I said, for y'all, I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent with my recordings. And we'll just go ahead and take it from there. Our road trip sound readables and everything for today would actually be episode 4 of How to Build a Sex Room. And this episode involved a polyamorous couple, actually a polyamorous family of 7 people that they get together, they do cuddle puddles, they watch movies, they interact with one another individually together. And I thought it was a pretty cool episode to watch. They kind of gave their sense of what polyamory means in regards to it just being about love and how love's not limited and, how it's a lot bigger than just simply you can only love one person that we've pretty much been told most of our lives. I feel like, download it from Netflix, download it into your phones. You can just hop in the back seat, go ahead and give it a watch before you take that road nap. Yeah, definitely enjoyable. Really, I would say, if anything, as you're watching it, don't take everything done to heart because there are some pitfalls and some shortcomings in regards to consent as well as certain safety protocols. Because there was an episode where she took a couple into a dungeon with an active scene going on. But again, I believe it's done for the theatrics. It is a reality show. It's possible that it was done off screen, but hey, this is what's going to happen. And then took them in. I doubt it was a surprise because reality TV. But again, grain of salt. Always take these things with it. Now, Polyfacts. These frequently asked questions. I did reach out to some people. Even this group I'm in, Black Kingdom, there's a subgroup that's known for ethical non-monogamous discussions and education. And I asked them in there, what are some questions that you normally get? And they helped me out. They went ahead and gave me quite a few. I'm only going to go with 10 because I do not have much time. I'm trying to go ahead and make this a shorter episode, 30 minutes or so, rip the band-aid so I can go finish packing and go to, I gotta drop the pup off, but then go to sleep. So, now, the first question I got, which was actually the perfect question to start off with, is why? She was even laughing when she was like, "Oh, the only question I get is why." And I'm like, "No, that's a pretty solid question. Why non-monogamy? Why polyamory? Why solo poly?" I get why people are intrigued because you're told, "Hey, this is the one way you're gonna do things, and that's how it's supposed to be done." And then they see someone not doing it that way. It's like, wait, why are you doing this when we have this whole thing that's been taught to us forever? Now, my personal why varies. For one, I don't know if it's inclined to my ADHD or maybe it's just a part of who I am. I don't like being limited in regards to I don't like being limited in my interactions with anyone. If I meet someone and we're compatible, maybe we're the kissing type, I want to be able to go ahead and kiss said person. Maybe we're the type that just lounge around and watch movies. I don't want my interactions with other people to be limited just because of monogamous standards. That's one reason. Another reason, which I feel like most people in E&M try not to put on the top because they don't want to belittle it. Belittle their relationships, but personally, I do enjoy novel sex. Novel being brand new, like someone brand new I've never played with before, never had sex with before. There's a level of excitement with that, and I do enjoy that. That's not to say that's the end all be all with all that, because it's not like I'm over here finding someone brand new every day or every week or something. More times than not, I'm just with my regular partners. We do our thing and just go from there. Now, every now and again, maybe at a play party, or maybe I just come across someone and we connect. Yes, novel sex can happen in that manner, but it's just like one of those things as to the why. Like, I don't want to be limited to, hey, this is your one sexual partner for life, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I need my variety. I need my change ups because, again, like I said, on the ADHD side, if I eat a honey bun every day for a week, I'm going to be sick of the honey bun and never want to look at it again. I like to change things up. The second question, this was my homeboy asked me personally, and this lady was also like asked this. So your woman can sleep with other men. What she said was, does your boyfriend let you be with other men? And my answer was simple, like, well, of course, yes. Like, that to me is a dumb question because that's almost as it's a patriarchal question. Why I say that is because he didn't ask, wait, so are you allowed to sleep with other women? It was inherently believed that, yes, I get to sleep with the sex I'm attracted to. And on her end, she can only sleep with women. If she's attracted to men, too bad. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, a relationship is a partnership. If I'm limiting her from men, that means she has the right to limit me from women, and I'm straight, cis hetero from the head to the toe. And if I can't have sex with women, then I'm not having sex. So it's like, that's the one weird thing I don't understand. Like, why is that the question? Because, like, she's not my property. Like, who am I to tell her, no men for you, you can only do it with women? My penis is the only penis that you're dealing with. Like, that's stupid because then on her end, like, oh, bet, I can sleep with men? Cool, you can't sleep with women. And then what happens? We're both fucked. Well, actually, she'll still win because she's queer, so yeah, she can still enjoy women. But I'm over here like, I don't want to play with no man. I mean, would I try to use a loophole and meet up with a trans man? Maybe, because I'm vulva inclined. But I'm not generally attracted to trans men or trans women sexually. Cool as fuck to hang with. Though I did say, like, yo, I wouldn't mind a threesome where we're both doing it to my lady, because it's like, yo, yeah, I feel like it'll be fun. And she's pansexual, so she pretty much is here for all the shenanigans. But yeah, I just don't believe in limiting a partner at all because this is a partnership. This isn't a dictatorship. So I really just feel like, yeah, she is not my property. I did not go to the Walmart and buy her on the rollback prices. Yo, deep cut for y'all, for the younger folks. Like, yes, rollback was a thing. But yeah, that's my simple question. Yes. Next one was, how do you deal with jealousy? And that one's a tricky one because it's like the simple answer, the same way you deal with all other emotions, like you work through them and like you don't work through happiness. Like, happiness is just there. Like, you relish in happiness. Anger, you sit in the anger. Sadness, you sit, like, it's essentially you gotta sit in it. That's the main thing because jealousy, envy, there's some kind of logical line between your feelings and an action that caused that feelings to pop up. And so I guess it's a matter of like trying to connect that line. Like, you don't like it when, say, example, say my partner goes out on a date and I don't hear from her until the next morning. I'm going to have that jealous kind of trigger response where it's like, I didn't hear from you, I didn't get a good night. Like, there are reasons for that jealousy trigger. Now, first I sit in it because it'll be one thing if I never told her, like, hey, make sure you check in with me, that'll help me out. Like, I didn't tell her any of that. If anything, she does not know that I may be feeling the way I'm feeling. So, sit in it, find out where, like, it all comes from, and then also discuss it with your partner. And make sure you don't discuss it in a kind of demanding tone, like, hey, I felt this way, I need you to do all this for me, because they have their own side of things too. You got to make sure that you work together in possibly finding some way to mitigate that jealousy. But a lot of the work has to be done on your own, because your feelings are your feelings and they're yours to deal with. Like, I would never fault someone for feeling a way. I would only fault someone for their actions. That's just me personally. Now, the next one I have up is, how do you feel about him being with other women? And that was from the chat where she was asked that question. And I do really wonder about that, because I feel like the reason why those questions come up is because the biggest fear is losing your partner to someone else, especially someone else that is like within that polyamorous journey, where it's like, oh yeah, I met this person, and then all of a sudden, ooh, that person's a lot better than me, and oh, she's going to leave me for that person. A trigger for jealousy because abandonment. But yeah, that's the biggest fear in general. And that's the fear that people who are monogamous just look at. But then I kind of turn around, pretty much turn around on them, where it's like, okay, yeah, so what happens if, your man is cheating on you? Or what if that person end up breaking up with you because it's a Tuesday? It's like, when you realize the fear is based in ownership and not actual feelings, you kind of learn to let go. Now, that doesn't mean the hurt will not hurt. It will hurt like a bitch when someone's leaving you. But that doesn't mean that what you have or what you're going through is like worthless or not worth it at all. Because this is all about establishing connections and seeing where those connections go. Sometimes those connections fizzle and fade. Sometimes they go just stronger than 1,000 suns. So it really is a matter of accepting that things may end when you don't want them to end, but a person's their own person. They have their autonomy. You can do everything right and still not keep them. So just be mindful of that, especially when you run into those questions of, oh, this person's going on a date with that person. Just make sure communicate honestly, like, just throughout, especially even if you were feeling one partner is not doing enough, make sure they know that. They might not even realize it because you have not told them. They might be oblivious, and then all of a sudden I'm leaving you, like, hey, why? What's going on? Just gotta make sure that there's proper communication and everything will be as best as they can be. I won't say everything will be okay, because some things you just can't control. All right, now, next one is, what if you discover non-monogamy is not for you? This one's a very easy one that can be complicated. Now, the easy answer is, then it's not for you. You gotta just go ahead and move on and get back to monogamy. The tricky part of it is, what if you're partnered with someone that is thriving in their non-monogamy? And it's gonna be kind of hard to tell that person, hey, this isn't for me. I would like you to roll with me out of these streets, because these ENM streets ain't for me. So that's the tricky part, because you're essentially saying, hey, this isn't for me, so this shouldn't be for you either. Come with me. That can cause some resentment between partners. That can cause a lot of friction, especially if one decides to just stick with the E&M thing even though they don't want it, or one side leaves it. It's going to end up going pretty bad, because resentment will build and then it's just all going to blow up. Now, I would say, of the person that discovers that it's not for them, I would say you do have options. It's not like you have none. One option would be to, honestly, you can be monogamous, and your partner can be non-monogamous, and y'all just gotta establish the boundaries and discuss what it's gonna look like. Because just because the one person is monogamous doesn't mean both parties doesn't have to be. Not to say that this is successful, because for some it's successful, for some it's not. I actually met a couple where the husband is monogamous and the wife is not. typically known as a hot wife in these kinky streets. But because he was like, yeah, he knew his limits. He's like, nope, I'm good with one partner because I ain't gonna be texting no multiple people. Like I'll be tired. I'll be busy. Like nope, I am good with the love of my life. She's a social butterfly. She like getting in, getting out, and that's okay because I love her. She gets tested regularly, and we all good. I'm like, huh. Well, there you go. But then there's the other side where the person that's monogamous may feel slighted that they're not getting enough attention because the non-monogamous person is like split between all these people. So you can kind of understand where that resentment and all that comes from. So, and the other option is just break up. Like, it sucks to say, but that's really because it's either you break up amicably or you break up torrentially, where it's just gonna be a whole shit storm, just because you didn't like cut the cord sooner. All right, so I do have 5 more questions that I'm gonna go ahead and get through, but first, just gonna do a quick little break. Let me get a little drink and maybe pack a little bit more. All right, be right back, y'all.
Yeah.
All right, travelers, we are back for the second half of this podcast, Polyfacts, where I'm going to go ahead and answer 5 more questions that were provided before I go ahead and call it a day. All right, now we've already answered the why. How do you deal with jealousy? So, does this mean your woman can sleep with other men? How does it feel with him being other women? And what if you discover it's not for you? Now, next question I have here is how do you deal with the risk of disease? Now, this is very important. I mean, we are still in the middle of a pandemonium, and STIs in all various forms, especially with monkeypox coming up, like this is a serious concern. Now, honestly, the best way to deal with it is to get regularly tested. Like, that's the best thing you can do. Get regularly tested, make sure you wear protection, and open and honestly communicate with your partners in all those endeavors. Like, if you do get tested and you find there's something out, like, no, tell people immediately. Like, I do understand there's a stigma and shame when it comes to STIs where you feel like you did something dirty, so you don't want to talk about it. But talking about it is the best way to deal with it because you get to nip it in the bud and take precautionary actions in order to make sure that you stay safe. So that again, that means getting regularly tested in between partners as well as with new partners. Make sure you wrap it up. Like, yes, contraceptives do not prevent against everything, but they are a good shield against pregnancy as well as a good amount of STIs. Now, there's some skin to skin contact ones that may not be held back from condoms or anything to that effect, but it's still better than just, risking your health. Because there was even a story of like a TikToker or an influencer that hasn't been tested in like at all in her life, and she's over here about to die with AIDS. I don't know if that's real, but people be mad reckless. I wouldn't even put it past anybody. But yeah, and communicate. If something's up, make sure you tell all your sexual partners, hey, make sure you get tested. I was introduced to this at this time. And just make sure, and even with certain diseases, there are treatments for most. There are things like Prep Plus and the like, so that way, like if you have HIV or if you have a partner with HIV, you take that on a regular basis, it will not pass on to you. There's even like methods in regards to like antiviral for HSV, so if you do have any variation of the herpes, be it for the mouth or the genitals, there are ways to make sure you're not spreading or passing it along to others. So yeah, just be mindful, be forward, and be careful. What if you don't like your partner's partner? So this is like some metamor beef, and a metamor is the simpler way of saying my partner's partner. Now, the first thing I will say is your partner is not your property. Like, if you don't like that person, too bad, so sad. They like them for some certain reason. Now, I would say if it is something that's conducive to the treatment of your partner, then yeah, discuss it with them, see how they're feeling about it, see if they know about it, but don't try to be a hater just because you are trying to be selfish and keep your partner to yourself. Let your partner enjoy her life the way that, or his life, or their life, however they see fit, because it's not fair for you to regulate who they deal with as they will not regulate who you are dealing with. So that's really what it comes down to. Like, as long as they are not detrimental to your partner or detrimental to yourself, let it slide. Just go mind your business and, come back with a glass of water and, just focus on your partner when you are on your partner's time. All right, next up is, have you talked about this with family? Now, for me personally, I believe my sister has an idea as well as my older brother, but I don't really discuss it because I am Nigerian, grew up Catholic, and honestly, I'm the middle child where I am reckless and I only discovered this ADHD 3 years ago. So, on top of, being random as well as smart as fuck, I am kind of like, I'm not the black sheep, but I'm black sheep-ish. So I don't really care to bring on undue questioning and drama. I rather just keep my business, and if they need to know, then I'll give them the heads up when they need to know. For others, they have no problem sharing with their families that they are non-monogamous. If anything, you'll have the parents even intrigued, like, huh, how does this work? How does this operate? And yeah, it's just a matter of, you got to know your audience. For me, my audience involves a whole lot of questions, some head shaking, and some shrugs like, oh, well, this is Ikechiku being Ikechiku. So that's how I see kind of letting the family know. Um, Now, the next one. What about the children? Like, what about the children? How can you bring non-monogamy in front of the eyes of children? To which it's like, yo, you got to give kids more credit than they're due. Like, they're informational sponge. If you give them proper information, they will decipher it and actually learn about it, like, without needing to demonize one way of life just to promote your own. Like, no, if anything, I know several people that grew up in non-monogamous households that came up perfectly fine. If anything, they actually understood the concept of consent, boundaries, a lot sooner than all these other kids that are over here trying to, like, play up the skirt or whatever in middle school. So it's like, the children will be fine. They are smarter than you give them credit for. Like, yes, you spend your time trying to teach them right and wrong. But the reason why people are concerned about children and non-monogamy is because they think non-monogamy is wrong. And that right there is a fallacy, because there's nothing wrong with non-monogamy, especially when done in a healthy manner. Now, if you're talking about some, like, abusive cult situation, then nah, that's not ethical. That's the reason why it's called Hitchhiker's Guide to ENM, not Hitchhiker's Guide to cult shit. Like, nah. You got, like, when we say ethical, we mean all parties involved being consenting to the actions that are at hand. Now, if, like, there no one's perfect. You'll have some people that are shitty humans that'll, like, not even go about things the right way, and you can't put that on everybody. You can't pick a few rotten apples to say that the whole bunch ain't shit. So just explain things to the children just up front. Hey, this is how this is, and this is how this ain't. And for you yourself, this is not something that you should be pursuing at this time. Like, just, let them know, like, how you got to where you're going, and let them pick for themselves. I bet they'll will be team monogamy anyways, because polyamory and non-monogamy is a lot of work, and they already have enough going on just being kids. All right, now, the last question I have here is, how do I get started? Now, there are some people that will be introduced to non-monogamy later in life. A lot of people I ran into discovered it, like, later in life, like mid-30s, early 40s. Because again, I hang around a lot of black people. Black people grew up in the church, and the church is pretty much the default standard of how one should live life. You pay your tithes, you go to work, you love your kids. And, sometimes Papa was a Rolling Stone. But later on in life, they discover things like kinks. They discover non-monogamy. And the way they go about it is normally because of things that started in kink. Though I wouldn't say you need to start into like kinky endeavors to actually learn about non-monogamy. Personally, I would say the first thing you should look to do is get a book. There are several books out here that discuss polyamory and non-monogamy that could actually help out. There's a book, Thriving in Non-Monogamy. There's The Ethical Slut. There is More Than Two. So there are several books out there that do discuss non-monogamy. And I feel like that would be like the first step to go, because it's not an instruction guide of how to do it, but it's kind of a guideline into how you should look and approach certain things. Beyond that, when it comes to dating, that's going to be tricky. Now, there are some polyamorous groups, be it on Facebook, or you might find there are several applications, dating apps that provide the option of non-monogamy, like OkCupid. Like, there's an actual tab that allows you to search for other non-monogamous people within your area. That'll be one way to go. You can use traditionally monogamous sites like Bumble or Tinder. You just gotta make sure you put in your bio that you are non-monogamous, and that's kind of the route that you're going about things. Otherwise, some people may misinterpret your profile, and I would advise letting people know as soon as possible that you're non-monogamous, so you are not wasting each other's time and avoiding certain heartache, because that was my experience by waiting until date number 3 to let it be known. Outside of that, it's an endeavor that you'll have to continue growing and learning from. So just, you can join discussion groups. You can read whatever books you're trying to read. Some media portrayals of polyamory is not what it is at all. So I would avoid those outlooks. And it's mainly because they're going in for entertainment value. That's the reason why you have the Sister Wives show on TLC or something. Like, they're here for entertainment. They're not here for education. So I would avoid anything like that. And honestly, I would also say therapy. And I don't mean like therapy for polyamory. I mean therapy in general, because you want to make sure that you are coming in to any relationship as complete as possible, and that means unpacking some triggers that may be detrimental to your relationship. So if you have abandonment issues, you got to work through that, because that's one of the biggest fears of non-monogamy, is that you will lose your partner to someone else. And it could be of your doing because you're pushing them away, or not your doing because someone could break up with you because it's a Tuesday. So it's just something that you do need to be mindful of and watch out for. But yeah, those are the poly facts that I have. Might go ahead and do this again once I get more questions. And yeah, I do appreciate you joining me on this journey today. I'm gonna go ahead and finish packing. And travelers, I hope that this was informative to you. If you do have any personal questions you want me to answer, just be sure to send me an email to hitchhikersguide@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter at hitchhikingtoenm, or on Instagram, hitchhikersguide-to-ENM. And yeah, I'll be more than happy to reach out, and yeah, just be on the lookout for more stuff from me. Like I said, trying to be a little bit more consistent and trying to drop more stuff for y'all. So, y'all be safe, look both ways before you cross these ENM streets, and take care. Alright, travelers, bye.